Joining me now is Christine Schraner Burgener, the UN Special Envoy on Myanmar. Welcome to the program. That was a pretty bold-faced display of courage and determination by a population that has now seen live fire directed at it. How do you think this is going to proceed? They don't show any sign of backing down in front of the junta's violence.
Yes, indeed. And I think this is the only thing they can do to resist and in this peaceful mean, because in my view, the Tamado, the army, is just waiting that also people will take arms and defend themselves. So it's very dangerous. And I beg the people in Myanmar not to fall in this trap, so to stay peaceful, but it's clearly very easy to say from a safety zone.
But, Special Envoy, you don't think they're not being peaceful? The protesters are being peaceful, aren't they? I mean, the UN has condemned the junta, not the protesters.
No, I mean that the protester could fall in the trap of the army because they provoke now. Also, they are spreading rumors about the situation of the detained people, and that could make the people on the street very angry. So I hope they will keep their strengths. And I'm in daily contact with so many people, and it's clearly very sad to read all the messages I receive every day. More than 1,000 people call me to help them. And last week I was in contact about 3 hours meeting with 200 people around the country, and we discussed and I listened to them, but it's really devastating to see this situation.
Well, essentially what you're saying is that you're getting pleas to help, but it doesn't look like you can do very much. Let me just read you what the UN's human rights expert on Myanmar says, Tom Andrews. The leaders of this military junta have demonstrated their capacity for brutality. The message they are sending today is clear. They're going to continue their assault on the people of Myanmar. And, you know, we recently spoke to a journalist there who, somewhat like you, believes that the military, the junta, is in it for the long haul, and they are hunkering down. And as we've seen, they are not afraid, despite international condemnation, of using live fire and brute force. What can the United Nations do?
Well, I would like to go to Myanmar as quickly as possible, and I asked the army, and I had 2 long discussions with the deputy commander-in-chief, that I would like to come to listen to everybody, to calm the situation, and to find in dialogue a solution. But I have an office in the capital, Naypyidaw, and I could go with my visa, but it makes only sense to travel if they are ready to talk with me, and if I can visit Aung San Suu Kyi and the president and others.
So let's just be clear. They're telling the UN Special Envoy that she is not allowed to see either the leaders or the elected leader who's arrested.
They told me that it doesn't depend on my condition, so if they are not ready to receive me yet. They didn't say no, but they said not yet. I clearly asked what does it mean, and they said, well, they have to do 2 steps before I come. The first is to continue interrogation of detained people, especially also Aung San Suu Kyi, about the financial situation of her foundation related to the election. The second one is to stop the disobedience movement, and then they will receive me in a peaceful environment, they said. But I said that clearly I would like to... I said that I
Sorry
would
to
really
interrupt you.
like...
That sounds chilling.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like they want to force a quote-unquote peaceful situation. Let me ask you how much hope you have that they will actually invite you in. We are hearing reports from sources that the military you know, so-called foreign ministry that belongs to the military right now. They've taken it over. They are recalling ambassadors and diplomats from many postings around the world, including the US, the UK, and others, and repopulating these foreign missions with friendly diplomats to the junta. Presumably, they want to control the narrative.
Yes, clearly. I think they have a clear textbook, and the coup was planned in advance, in my view, because you cannot change the whole government in one day. The ministers were in place on the second day of the coup. We heard that all those people from other parties visited the commander-in-chief already last August in the capital. So this, I think, it's a clear textbook. Also, that they arrest NLD people. This is, in my view, the aim to ban the NLD party and to hold a new election. And the Tamado, the army deputy commander-in-chief, told me that they would like to hold new elections in 1 year. But clearly, in my view, they want to win and to continue to stay in power. And that they now replace people in embassies is also, for me, clear in their strategy. But we should also know that in the past, all the ministries also had many military guys from the past. So it was already very difficult for the NLD government to govern. And I had so many discussions on reforms. And then I suddenly always realized that people in the ministries are influenced or are old guys from the army. And it was already difficult before the coup.
So NLD is obviously the party of Aung San Suu Kyi, and one of her ambassadors, who was at the United Nations, so the Myanmar ambassador to the UN, made an incredibly brave speech over the weekend in which he appealed for the world not to buy into the junta's, rewriting of history and crack down on democracy. Let's just play a little bit of what he said.
We need further strongest possible action from the international community to immediately end the military coup, to stop oppressing the innocent people, to return the state power to the people, and to restore the democracy.
So again, a very brave intervention in public. It's very rare to see Myanmar officials do that. He was fired for that. And the question again is, so what? I mean, he's in the United Nations asking you to help. Obviously, the UN is made up of the sum of its parts. What is the most important obstacle to you at the UN being able to hold the junta to account? Is it China? Is it the junta itself? What's the problem?
I think it must be a unity in the international community. And if I hear the member states last Friday when I gave a briefing at the General Assembly in New York, then I could hear the overwhelming position of not liked the situation that they demanded the release of the prisoners and that stability is coming back with a democratization. But clearly there were some states, they didn't condemn the coup, and also many member states in the ASEAN have the policy of non-interference. So unity will be the most important thing. Tomorrow, the foreign ministers of ASEAN, they have a meeting and they will also discuss Myanmar. So I'm very curious about the results of tomorrow. But I also hope that the Security Council of the UN will come very quickly with a new meeting and make decisions.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's really important. And as you say, Special Envoy, the U.S. has said that there will now, quote, be further costs imposed on those responsible. And the National Security Advisor of the United States is promising further details in the coming days. So let's see what happens. Thank you so much for joining us.